Are you depressed because you're lonely, or are you lonely because you're depressed? Hi everyone, my name is Nessa and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. Very commonly, I hear people complain of loneliness, but what is defined as loneliness varies from person to person. There's a literal form where you have no friends or family, no one to talk to or socialize with. Or you may be surrounded by family and friends, or in a relationship and still feel lonely. Loneliness is a state of mind, a purely subjective individual experience, like sadness or anger. It arises either when your standards of what you consider to be a normal social life doesn't meet your expectations, or when the people around you don't understand and can't relate to your problems, and it makes you feel alone inside. So quite often we end up isolating ourselves from the outside world. After all, the main purpose of interaction with others is to make us feel good, isn't it? But what happens when the people you used to enjoy spending your time with no longer fulfill that emptiness in you? Or you cannot relate to others, or vice versa. And therefore, you're left with no one around you and a big sense of loneliness. Regardless if that loneliness is by choice or not, we have to understand one thing. We as humans cannot survive without social interaction. It's a big part of our life and crucial for our mental and physical health. Being an introvert or an extrovert has nothing to do with the need itself. The difference between the two is the amount of social interaction we desire. Some people are comfortable spending a whole weekend by themselves, reading a good book, cooking, watching a movie, and others may get suicidal thoughts having to spend a whole day without talking on the phone or interacting with friends or the outside world. This need has been with us since the beginning of our existence. That's why our ancestors formed tribes. Social bonds help ensure human survival. It's in our DNA. But how can we fulfill this need properly? We all feel lonely from time to time, when we feel like our partner doesn't understand what we're going through emotionally, or when we're struggling with personal issues and the people around us don't have and can't relate to. This kind of loneliness is easier to manage and overcome, as long as the personal issue gets resolved and doesn't get prolonged. And also if we maintain some kind of social interaction with others, meanwhile working on our problem. But if you feel lonely because you have no friends or family or a social network around you, and it's not by choice, then we need to look deeper. There must be something about you that prevents you from having a relationship to some degree, or a social network. It's either low self-esteem that's preventing you from talking to others and making friends and going out, or there's a certain behavior or a belief or an action that's very different or unacceptable according to the standard social norm. For example, if you're suffering from anger issues or aggression, it makes it difficult for others to want to be around you and feel secure. So that becomes your problem that you need to resolve by doing some self-work or therapy before you even attempt to make yourself available socially. And if you choose not to work on yourself and close your eyes on the problem that is clearly yours and continue isolating yourself, thinking there's no one who wants to be with me and you're not suffering from depression, you will soon have to add that to the list of problems you would need to deal with as well. Because isolating from others when clearly there's a need for interaction leads to depression. So the first step to creating a healthy relationship or any kind of social network is being honest with yourself. If you're married and have a partner and a family and you feel lonely, there's clearly a problem. Now, my emphasis on being honest with yourself is because we cannot always find fault in others only. Like people who say, my husband doesn't want to go shopping with me and doesn't enjoy spending his time with me at home and prefers hanging out with his friends every chance he gets. And that makes me feel so lonely. You have to dig a little deeper. Don't let your expectations speak on your behalf. If the husband or the wife doesn't find reasonable amounts of honesty, comfort, peace, some excitement, some common interest, some sacrifice in the relationship, and on top of that, there is no communication or attempts towards fixing it, you cannot blame them for wanting to spend their time elsewhere and for you to feel lonely. Or the other way around. If you are the only one doing everything you can to keep the relationship going and putting in the work while the other one doesn't make an effort, it's pretty clear that the relationship has to take a major turn. But you have to be willing to look at yourself and find issues not only in others, but within you as well. If you suffer from self-esteem issues, or lack thereof, you might come across as someone who's not interested in interacting with others, or you may seem uptight to others who don't know you. You are the one who needs to work on your confidence building in order to find people with similar interests as you. Another reason for loneliness is having high expectations of people. When your expectations don't get met by others, whether those expectations are emotional, physical, or social, I'm not saying to settle for anything, but also don't set the bar so high that no one would be able to reach it. Or when you're so dependent on getting the approval of others in every aspect of your life, and if you don't receive it the way you want it, it turns your world upside down, and you hide and isolate yourself because everyone doesn't like or approve of you, which also comes from low self-esteem and lack of belief in yourself. The beauty of the world we live in is that we're all so different from one another, and yet there's always people that share similar interests and beliefs as we do. But in order to find the right partner, the right friend, or the right social group, you must first be comfortable in your own skin. You first have to accept yourself and be comfortable with who you are. And I don't mean blindly or in a narcissistic way. If you clearly have problems, be willing to acknowledge and work on yourself before you expect people to accept you. The most common reason I hear from clients, and it really makes me sad, is that complaining of loneliness because they don't feel attractive. Therefore, they make no attempt to go to social settings and meet new people because they're afraid of being rejected or judged. Unfortunately, they also make zero attempts to fixing the problem as well. Don't get me wrong, it might seem that I'm being too blunt about this, but if you are the one who's struggling with your body and your weight and looking at yourself and not liking what you see, then simply do something about it. Doesn't matter if you're 90 pounds or 500 pounds. If you're happy and comfortable with the way you look, then more power to you, because there is someone out there for you who also likes the way you look. But until you are comfortable with you, no one else will be. If you don't like your face and can't change anything about it, you can work on building and highlighting other aspects of yourself that would give you the same kind of satisfaction about yourself. Because God only knows that beauty will not last and cannot be the primary source of any lasting relationship. I promise you, if you were the most beautiful person on earth, but you were dumb as a doorknob or mean as hell, or had nothing else to offer but looks, you still wouldn't be able to hold any kind of relationship. Because after a while, all that becomes ordinary. But if you're interesting or smart or kind, or any other quality or personality that can be gained through working on yourself, only then can you have meaningful, lasting relationship with ease. So don't be afraid of trying. Don't be afraid of leaving relationships that no longer provide room for growth, just because of fear of being alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you're stuck and cannot overcome an unconscious habit or behavior that's holding you back from being with the kind of people you want. Work on your flaws and your weaknesses, and on accepting and loving yourself before you ask anyone else to do it. We're all connected to each other, living on one earth, and breathing the same air, under the same sky, getting warmth from the same sun, sleeping under the same stars. How we live is mostly a choice. So make the choice to live a happy life. And along the way, if you need help, give yourself the permission to ask for it. We cannot do everything by ourselves. But at the end, it all begins with you. I hope you were able to take away something from all this and apply it to your life and relationships. Let me know in the comment section if you did and how. Also, if there's something you're struggling with and would like me to specifically talk about, also leave it in the comment section. I will end this video with a quote from Tim Fargo. Be strong enough to stand alone, smart enough to know when you need help, and brave enough to ask for it. Thank you for watching.